For nearly 20 years, the old horse had worked beside him. Before sunrise, it waited patiently outside the barn. In summer heat, in winter snow, in rain and wind, the horse was always there. Its name was Ash, and in a small farming village, everyone knew it. Children waved when it passed. Neighbors recognized the sound of its hooves on the road. To most people, it was just an old workhorse. To Thomas, it was much more. Together they had plowed fields, carried harvests, survived droughts, and endured years when the farm barely produced enough to survive. Whenever people praised Thomas for his success, he would shake his head and say, "Half the credit belongs to Ash." As the years passed, Thomas grew older, but so did the horse. The first signs were easy to ignore. A slower walk, a longer rest, less energy at the end of the day. Thomas told himself it was nothing. Yet, deep down, he knew time was doing what time always does. One autumn morning, Ash stumbled while pulling an empty cart. The horse quickly recovered, but Thomas felt something sink inside him. For the first time, he saw not the horse he remembered, but the horse standing before him. Old, tired, near the end of its working life. That evening, a neighbor stopped by. "You should replace it," the man said. Thomas looked away. The words felt cold, almost cruel. Replace it? How do you replace 20 years? How do you replace loyalty? How do you replace memories? For weeks, Thomas wrestled with the decision. Part of him wanted to keep working the horse. Part of him knew that would only be for his own comfort. Then, one morning, before the sun had fully risen, Thomas opened the barn door. Ash stood waiting, just as it had for years. The old farmer walked over and rested a hand on the horse's neck. For a long moment, neither moved. Then Thomas removed the harness and set it aside. That day the horse did not work. The next day it did not work either. Instead, Ash wandered the fields freely, grazing, resting, watching the seasons pass. Months later, a young farmer asked Thomas if he regretted retiring the horse. The old man smiled. No, the young farmer looked surprised. But the farm became harder to manage. Thomas nodded. It did. Then why don't you regret it? Thomas looked toward the field where Ash stood beneath a tree. Because every season of life asks something different from us. There is a time to work, a time to build, a time to struggle, and there is a time to let go. The young farmer was silent. Thomas continued. The hardest part wasn't accepting that Ash had grown old. He smiled softly. The hardest part was accepting that I had grown old too. For years I watched that horse slow down. I watched his strength fade. I watched the years leave their mark on him. Thomas paused. And one day I realized those same years had been leaving their mark on me. The wind moved gently through the grass. The old horse lifted its head, and for the first time, Thomas understood something he had spent years resisting. Nothing in life is ours forever. Not our strength, not our possessions, not even the seasons we love most. Wisdom begins the moment we stop demanding that things stay the same, and learn to be grateful that they were here at all.